the video and what I'm sharing today. I have, for the price point and the functionality, I've really enjoyed the Hohem, the 3-axis gimbal. And this particular one that you're looking at here is the M6 iSteady with the AI tracking. So it's specially for the iPhone, for the phone. It is not, however, for a GoPro. The mount and that isn't going to work. I own a Hohem iSteady Pro 4, which is for the GoPro. Works great, love it. Again, 3-axis powered gimbals and controls. This particular mounting system works great. I have a GoPro Hero8. No, I have no need to upgrade this. I know there's this one really does everything, plus all the adapters and accessories I have over the last couple of years are all geared to work with this. So I'm not at a point where I need to upgrade, and I wanted to increase my video recording and amateur interviewing as I begin to have a more online presence, educating and creating a channel for myself. So love this, have had this for about a year. Ran into an issue. Been watching several people doing interviews and recording and running around, and noticed that they were all using the DJI Mic Minis. And I thought, man, that is really cool. So I went ahead and bought one. So excited. Didn't do my homework. Obviously, I'm using one of the two mics now on me, but not the receiver. I'm just Bluetoothing it. This does attach, goes right into your iPhone, right? It's got the little adapter here for the new one. Great, love it. Woo, yay, right? Well, problem. I get it, and I start reading about my GoPro. And my GoPro, you cannot use the DJI Mac Mini mics unless you have a media mod. And I was reading this going, a media mod, what the heck's a media mod? And sure enough, that was one of the things that I bought right out of the gate, was a media mod. And I've had lights attached onto it. It's got this built-in, focal mic, the whole bit. And so I'm reading it and I'm like, oh, it will work with this, right? It's right here. I don't have a stand for my phone. So let's go ahead and open this up. There we go. So I'm all excited about it. I'm like, oh, this is great, right? I'll go ahead and I'll put this on. I don't have to spend any more money. I was so happy. Oh my goodness, I was so happy. And I get it on. I, put the media mod on, and I've never done this one-handed. So I'm laughing at myself right now. Let's pause. All right, we hit pause there. Sorry about all the shaking. So, right, put on the media mod. So happy, right? I get out my receiver, and I found out, which I thought was a really cool feature. I found out that on the media mod, this receiver and the clip on this receiver actually fits perfect. Look at this. It fits perfect right in the media mod. And I thought, this is great. And then it says all you need is the little 3.5 millimeter. And I'm like, oh, I said the DJI Mic Mini came with one of those. I was so excited. I'm putting it all together, right? I get it all together and I'm like, yeah, okay. I go, man, this is cool. I go, I can now, I can use my GoPro as well as my phone for doing interviews. I love it. It's compact. It's clean. Problem. The Hohem for GoPros. That will never, ever, 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 ever work for your GoPro with a media mod attached. It's not going to happen. Believe me, I tried. I went online. I went crazy looking for scenarios. What can I do? What can I find? How can I make this work with my Hohem GoPro? Well, at the end of the day, here's what I found out. You cannot. So now I have a really nice 3-axis gimbal Hohem for my GoPro with no media mod for just regular action items if I want to run around, and I don't really care about the quality of audio associated with it or getting creative and spending more money for another version of layering in audio for post-production. No, thank you. So let me show you what I ended up doing. What I did have is my Hohem for my iPhone. And I went on and believe it or not, I would have thought that somebody would have created a mounting plate or a plate that would work in the M6 iSteady that would hold your GoPro with the media mod on. They do not. So I built this. I guess at first glance, it seems like a very overcomplicated plate. And I'll just kind of run through it. I printed 5 different versions of this plate. And the reason I had to do that is because I needed to get the weight, because the weight is slightly offset to the face compared to a phone, because when it does fit in here, right, the phone is sliding, right? The phone is sliding in these ridges. Well, any kind of base plate you put, it's going to cause your device to hang over. So instead of these motors, right, especially this access motor, this is really the one on this gimbal access motor, the servo in there. Really, boy, I struggled. I measured. I did weights of my device. Believe it or not, this entire device with DJI Mic Receiver, I kid you not, it actually weighs less than the iPhone 16 Pro Max. So I knew that it wasn't a weight issue. My servo was over, shaking and vibrating, and I'm like, man, I've got to figure this out. So I did. I designed a plate that positions the mounting of the GoPro. You don't have an option. It positions it as such. Using this L cleat on the back, this L cleat actually goes right here. When you open up these springs, right? When you open up these springs like this, that L clip goes in between these two and against this. So it pushes all the way against this. So it locks it in this way. And then I've got on this side, this locks your GoPro. So these 3 connectors are for holding your GoPro. And so basically I have the spring-loaded clamp blocks, right, that hold the top and bottom on your vertical Z axis. And then I have, for the X and Y plane, I've got this L bracket, which technically goes in like this. So there is only one way that this fits. And I'll show you if you've got your Hohem and you're familiar with it. So you're gonna see the L, and it's actually gonna go in like this. And you open up the springs. You open up the springs, and what's key is this, the leg of this L has to fit right inside there, right? So when this opens up to hold your plate, you got to make sure that leg is right there. And again, this is all because of the balance and weight that's offset from the GoPro that mounts on the face. By doing or using this plate, you 100% will get it balanced. So your servo, your gimbal servo isn't going to overheat. That motor isn't going to overheat. It's not going to shake. You're going to be able to fumble through all the actions. I'm going to go ahead and install this, and then I'll show you what it looks like, and then we'll put the GoPro on. All right, we're back. So I left my Hohem in the case just for orientation purposes, so you can really see what's going on here. right? Sorry about all the apology. I have no stand for my iPhone. I'm shaking all over the place as I'm moving around. So this is the orientation. And if you're familiar, what I designed is this wall, your GoPro flushes up against this wall, okay? So it can't go any farther this way. The bottom of your GoPro, or in this case the media mod, right, where the cleats for brackets are, that cleat, it hooks in here. And then at the top of your media mod, where you can put accessories, this tab actually slides in there. So I'm actually going to do this one-handed to kind of show you how this works. So I'm going to unplug the cable, because we'll plug in the cable after it's installed. Apologize here as I try to navigate around. So it's camera facing and it's upside down. Believe me, I worked every which scenario, but for balance and not having any issues with the offset weight of the GoPro mounted on a plate, this is just the way it has to be. And if you want to spend hours figuring out a better way that doesn't overheat or cause issues, go for it. But this one works, and GoPro has an auto orientation, so it really doesn't matter if it's upside down. So the idea is you come in, you butt up against, right? You butt up against to that wall right there that I talked about. This wall right here. You butt up to it. You hook in the bottom, and that cleat hooks right underneath there where your brackets normally go. And then right there is your accessory, and literally it's in. So now this is what the back L cleat looks like. Remember how I said to you before, it hooks around this. And the reason this is important is the orientation of this device, right, has to be fixed in this point, because it brings the weight closer, shortening the distance between this servo and the bottom with the way that the weight is offset, right, as it hangs over the front. So there's the setup. Obviously, you can flip it around, and now I can plug in my cables. Right, I set up my cable so it goes right against flush with the bracket, and the Hohem plugs in there. And then, of course, underneath, you've got your jack for your DJI Mic Receiver that goes in as well. And then, I mean, you can rearrange your cables. You know, at one point I thought about making brackets that, you know, on the back side of this that would hold this cable, but believe it or not, by doing that, the cable's not quite long enough, and it also causes too much of a kink, because you have to double it up for this, but for the cable that it comes with the device. So I really tried to maximize without spending money, designing and 3D printing that plate. We are good to go. And so now when we bring it out, right, if any of you have ever done these, there's instructions on what you're supposed to do. There's locking mechanisms, right? So you unlock, and then before you balance, right, before you balance in the Hohem, your lever action, you actually have to turn and rotate. Hold on here. You have to turn and rotate your device, right? So I'll come back here, and this is what I was talking about with the cable, right? Sometimes, you know, get creative or whatever you've got to do to tuck that cable. I am not set up. All of my recording equipment is being used in the demo. I don't have a spare. All right, here we go. I went ahead and put it on the tripod, and I went ahead and I locked this access arm here so it can't move around. And all again for the purpose of just showing you, as you change the position of your lever, pulling it out, you want to find that perfect balance, right? You want to find out where you're parallel to the ground. And you take a little bit of time in the beginning. I know you have to do this with your phone. It doesn't matter what you do it with. But if you do this, I have found that your performance and battery life lasts so much longer. So we're going to go there. We're completely good to go. Lock it and clamp it down. Again, this is how we look. Nothing's in the way, right? The cables, the mounting plate for our GoPro, really cool. I'm gonna rotate this back around. I'm gonna unlock that last lock. I'm gonna energize. Boom, powers up. Camera rotates. Those of you who are familiar with Hohem know the deal. I'll go ahead and turn on my AI. Boom, I've got my AI on and my light, right, can toggle. You can double click to center position. You can hit 3 times to switch accesses, right? It switches your main access. You can hit 4 times, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Flips your rotation around. And I'm telling you, I spent hours figuring out the correct position so that this servo in particular wouldn't, vibrate, brr, and overheat as it did all of its maneuvers, all of its pre-programmed maneuvers. Double tap to bring it to, its known position. What that means is in any one of these positions, if you're, if you didn't know this, if you're working at something or recording something, a quick double tap just recenters those positions. I click 1, 2, 3, reorients. And again, because GoPro has an auto orientation, it doesn't matter that your GoPro's flipped upside down. The mic, the recording, it's amazing. It all just works great. Wanted to share, if you're interested, I've got this 3D plate. I printed it in PETG carbon fiber. I've got it as an STL file and an STP or a step file. This one was printed in with a Bamboo Labs. Doesn't really matter what your 3D printer is, but that's what I printed mine with and drew up and designed this in Autodesk Fusion. All right. Hopefully that helped, and you can go out there and have fun.